That is a bizarre one. How there was like telomere caps or something. This goes back to the Anunnaki stuff, right?
Yeah. I love that stuff. That's like the most taboo thing for people.
Yeah.
And Sitchin may have been wrong about a lot of things, but it doesn't mean that there wasn't truth to it. Like if you want to know my most crazy idea is that I do think it's incredibly possible that humans were a hybrid species. That when you look at these legends of angels coming down and breeding with the women and all this stuff, I'm like, if we're cloning, pigs and growing human ears on the backs of mice and all this crazy stuff that we're doing now, it's not impossible that if humans were to go to another planet, we wouldn't mess with them either.
Sure.
If there was life forms on other planets.
Billy Carson.
Yeah. Oh, Billy.
When we're talking about this stuff,
Billy.
Just to be Dan the big old wet blanket, we talk about the potential of the pyramid being a technological device. There is one thing that I see talked about a lot, and I do have to point it out as a guy who worked in electricity. The piezoelectric thing, which if you don't know what piezoelectricity is, it's what makes when you stress a quartz crystal, you get a little electricity. It's what makes your quartz watch your igniters for your gas grills.
Sure.
Okay. So the theory will be, well, there's a lot of limestone, or a lot of quartz in limestone, therefore a little bit of stress on the limestone. You get these big electric charges. Look at all that limestone. They're making all this electricity. The problem with that is that each one of those crystals has to have a piece of metal on both sides to harness that charge, right? Electricity, otherwise it just... So if you have it, then you've got this block full of those crystals. So they would all have to be aligned in the same. They would all have to be aligned magnetically to begin with. Then you would have to have that entire block sandwiched in metal, and that's only if they were all aligned, which is extremely limiting. And we don't see any signs of this. And then you would have to have a place to harness it. So while it would definitely be ripping metal out of the structure, if it was abandoned and it had a shitload of metal in it, and they were pulling it out, there was a metal between the courses we would find remnants of.
Or on the cap, right?
The cap's been missing since time immemorial, right? But anyway, my point is that I'm not opposed to the idea of it being a technological device. There's always like the funnel of reality that I always try to kind of bring us back to. It's like, we can, but the electricity is getting a little bit too far out there. Not that electricity itself isn't, but the piezoelectricity from the limestone blocks is something that if I was tasked with doing that as an electrician, need a magician, buddy. Sorry.
Friedman Freund, that NASA scientist, did an experiment where they took a giant block of granite and they put two metal caps on each side, and they squeezed it with a hydraulic press, and it literally was creating electricity.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. This is in Chris's new book, The Tesla Connection, where he basically hypothesizes that it's a solid state electron harvesting. Yeah. So that's bizarre, and that goes right into that guy Friedman Freund, that NASA scientist, he was basically studying earthquake lights. How all over the world, days and weeks before an earthquake happens, there's deep subterranean grinding of the rocks, the igneous rocks, creating these crazy, some people thought they were UFOs, but they're like orbs in the sky. And there were earthquake lights creating from the electricity from that deep earth igneous rocks against each other, and they were hypothesizing that that's a way that they could mitigate the damage from earthquakes. So if they're seeing earthquake lights pop up above the mountains, they're like, okay, we got to evacuate. There's going to be an earthquake. And I think they actually were able to accurately predict it within 14 days of a couple earthquakes over near Indonesia a few times.
That's wild. And the Great Pyramid is built on top of an aquifer.
Yeah.
There's subterranean water that had flown under there back when the Nile was much closer. I don't know. When it comes to the Great Pyramid, a lot of people will hotly debate what it was. And this is where I get into, I'm like, this is why there needs to be further study and archaeological excavation.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that hidden chamber that they've identified?
Yeah, above the Grand Gallery, right? And the Scan Pyramids project found it.
Yep. And this thing is massive. They still haven't explored it. And it's even though they discovered it 8 years ago and it was confirmed in a scientific study 7 years ago, as of today, it has not been explored. There's no plan in place to do it, although maybe I've heard something that now I can't say it because when people tell you something that it's a secret, you can't repeat it. But it sounds like this topic has got the attention of the right people and something may happen later this year.
It's the 47.
My dog.
Yeah, it's
fucking distracted.
And so it's with that being said,
Stupid.
what's inside this hidden chamber? There could be a lost technology if it existed. There could be answers on how
I'm
the
kidding,
pyramid was
I love you.
constructed, because that's debated. Nobody knows how they constructed it. Maybe you go in there and be like, oh, so maybe this is how they were stacking those stones. Oh, whatever. Maybe there's a pharaoh in there. Like, I don't think
super boring about it.
Oh, that was
Even if it's
totally my
empty.
fault.
Yeah.
Tuck his body away.
Yeah, and if it
I'm
was
almost
for a tomb
done.
for the pharaoh, what if there's a burial in there? Like,
I
there's
got
so
no one to
many
claim.
answers
Yeah.
that we could get by
But
simply going in
myself.
there, and they can do it. They can drill a small hole and send in, an endoscope camera, and they can figure it out in a very short period of time for not a lot of money,
Oh.
without damaging the pyramid. This is so
Am I
doable.
going
And
towards
we can have all this conjecture about what it was, how it was built, what was, and it's like, but maybe if we just go in there and look, we'll learn something that answers some of these questions.
You know what? One of the most interesting things about that void is to me is that in the king's chamber, there's two shafts that go out, right? One of the shafts goes straight. The other one has all these bends that go around that void. So if this pyramid was something that was,
Oh, I thought I could
which
get
is
away.
pretty obvious that they actually planned this out a lot to get this thing so precise.
Yeah.
That they didn't just like go, oh, we're gonna have, oh shit, we didn't plan for this void to be here. Now we got to build these shafts around it. It's obviously by design, right?
Everything about that has to be by design. Yes, like the mathematics to get it to be as symmetrical as it is all the way to the top.
Yeah.
It requires it, because like if they're off anywhere, it could screw up the whole thing.
It's It's more square, more perfectly square than any skyscraper in New York City.
Yeah, and that's the kind of stuff that honestly gets pretty. That's where stuff gets pretty tricky because they measure those skyscrapers with lasers.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They're measured with trans.
Yeah, I think the skyscrapers can be off square by like 20 to 30, 40 inches. And what is the Great Pyramid off?
Within a half inch.
Within a half fucking inch.
755 feet long at each of its bases, and not only that, like, so it's like a lot of skyscrapers might face north, south, east, and west. This is within a degree of accuracy that's more accurate than a lot of our modern buildings that are meant to face the cardinal points,
Right.
which is amazing. It's not perfectly, but it's in a
Right.
few degrees of accuracy, like a very small level. It's basically perfect as far as the eye can see.
That was
Or
funny.
even if you're out there with your own compass, it'd be like,
And that's the bullet you got to look at too, that you're dealing with atmosphere. All these measurements will be taken at dawn. When the sun's just rising, in the Nile River, you'll have all this fucking fog and shit. So your measurement is going to have some fog, and every time they took a measurement off the sun. So when they do their archaeoastronomy work, that's one of the things they always take into account is how far the make me think about how far I'm from Mike. how far away they are from the river and how easily they can see things down there because there's a lot of the closer you get to the Nile River at dawn, man, the foggier the air, the harder to see. So
You know what my favorite theory about the pyramids
what's
is?
that?
Have you ever heard of land of Chem?
yes, Jeff.
Dude, I think that guy.
Oh, fuck.
I think
one got
it
me by
is the
surprise.
most reasonable. I love Chris Dunn's theory, the solid state electron harvester. I think it's fantastic. It's sensational. But what I like about Jeff's theory, what I like about his theory
Damn,
is that
already?
it's kind of a boring theory, but it also makes so much fucking sense because he went in, like the way he
Goodbye.
describes how that Nazi scientist, Fritz, I think his last name was, who went and basically recreated that ammonia production thing, the device that creates ammonia, and he reverse engineered the inside of I think it's the step pyramid, and that's what his hypothesis is the step pyramid was creating ammonia, and he created a device that
Son of a bitch.
replicates the inside of the step pyramid that creates ammonia. It's Nazi guy who was studying the scientists, who was studying the pyramids. And then he thinks that the red pyramid was using the chemical that was coming out of the step pyramid to create, I can't remember all the names of the chemicals. I get so but the chemistry stuff gets confusing when you start to get deep into it. But essentially, he thinks that the pyramids were responsible for fertilization and agriculture on the Giza Plateau.
Yeah, that's interesting. When I've had him on the channel,
Jeffrey Drum, that's his last name.
And to be fair, when I said that Christopher Dunn is the one that I identify most, I haven't done a deep dive on Land of Chem's theory. I figured that next time I go to Giza, I'd link up with him personally and do it, like, get right from him. So I can't say that when I say about Christopher Dunn, that's not taking anything away from Land of Chem, because I can't speak to his theory. But that now I need to go down that rabbit hole.
So so he thinks that the step pyramid was creating methane gas, which methane gas is used for like heating, lighting, and metallurgy. So they could have been using this gas for so many different things, and the methane gas in the step pyramid was then harnessed in the red pyramid to create the ammonia. And I guess there's all kinds of other explanations that he gives for the ammonia.
This is my favorite part.
Look.
Well, Land of Kim was the original name of Egypt, and Kim has its base in alchemy, which is where we get chemistry. And they were known for the land of Kim was black.
Yep. They
Because
refer
it
to
was
it.
fertile.
Yep, and the soil of the Nile, and a lot of people don't realize it. Kemet was the original name for Egypt before they called it Egypt. That was the original name. We called it Phoenicians. And chematology, like Yusuf Awiyan, and that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that was the Egyptians themselves today. The local populace refers to the Phoenicians as building the pyramids. That was something that floored me when I was there. Yeah, and a lot of the locals there don't think that it was for a tomb. I was surprised to see that as well. A lot of them think it was just something amazing.
Yeah,
our understanding.
So when he was in here, he was also explaining to me how there's this layer of there's this chemical layer that's calcified itself on the inside of the chambers in the step pyramid, the red pyramid, and even in the great pyramid. And it's like by design, because those chemicals that those pyramids were creating would have eroded the rocks. So, and the conventional explanation is it's bat shit or like bat piss, right? But
Which it reeks of in there. It's so noticeable. It's unreal.
But he also says once you get to the very top, that top chamber in the step pyramid, there's 3 of them, right? And they all kind of look like the grain gas. They angle up, and smaller as they go up. He says when they were pushing water into those chambers, it was pushing the gas up into the top of the chamber, compressing the gas, which heats the gas up, right? And that's what could create that chemical reaction into ammonia. And then he also thinks that it was a similar process in the Great Pyramid, but the Great Pyramid, I think he believes, was creating sulfuric acid, and somehow the other 2 pyramids were used. I have to watch that podcast again, but it was fascinating. It was really compelling the way he explained that.
Well, here's something that goes along those lines. I met this gentleman when I was in Egypt. The tour that I was on, he's a president of an air compressor company in Canada. And that's what he was saying. He was like, this reminds me of an air compressor, like the internal structure and layout. He said that like the way it's designed, you could support enormous amounts of pressure in there.
Yeah.
What the hell?
And that was not in the context of anything from Land of Chem. This was like 4 years ago. I
Where's
don't
the
think
other
Land of
one?
Chem was making videos at that time. This is before that. And so like that was his
Do I have to
just
find
his
a hatch or
intuitive thoughts
something?
on it. He was like, this seems like an air, like something for compression. And I'm like, that's interesting, but I never pieced the dots on that.
Yeah, man. And then there's like also on some of those pyramids, there's these underground channels that the conventional
where is-
explanation
oh, it's
is
this way.
it was for rainwater.
she's waiting.
Collect rainwater. And there's these conduits that go
son of a
underground
bitch.
that connect from the pyramids and they come out into these collection bowls. I don't know if you've seen the collection. You've been
Yes.
there, right?
Yeah.
There's these big collection bowls that like why would they be collecting rainwater?
Yeah.
And he thinks that was part of like the chemical collection process or something they were doing.
So
many
they're
weird
just for
things.
ceremonies.
Yeah, right.
Danny,
right.
come on now. It's religious. Just drop it.
No, I'll tell
That's
you-
what they say about everything out there.
The part of Jeff's hypothesis that I found the most interesting, and of course it's the most mundane, so it has the most chance, in my opinion, of being accurate, was they would build things to get zapped with lightning because it charges the ground to make for better harvests. That's something that's something that the ancients would very easily have been able to notice. You know, a lightning striking the ground is the kind of thing
Right.
you're gonna talk about, man. And if it starts farming better there, you're gonna notice that. And so that part of it is interesting. That part was definitely interesting. The chemical parts of it and stuff are interesting too. Don't get me wrong.
Well, it's like sonochemistry, the way he explained it to me
Yeah.
in the Great Pyramid. Like it's like sound resonance. There's clearly some sort of resonant frequency happening in that Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
And when you mix that with chemistry, apparently that's a real thing.
Yeah. No, yeah, it is. It is. It's it needs more testing. Same as the digging in the grounds and everything else. It would need more testing. But the first part, that part of it in particular was I would have had him on and I was listening to him. Man, that's a nice foundation, a good starting point for this.
Are they there?
Not too out there. It's not out there at all.
Yeah.
You know what's far more out there is suggesting that it was a tomb for the pharaohs. They've never.
Flynn Dibble.
Yeah, they have never found.
Oh
they never
my
found
God.
a mummy in any Egyptian pyramid ever. Because you can say,
Does
oh,
that
they
actually
looted it.
work?
Okay, fine. Never mind that there's no glyphs on any of the walls. Like you'll find in every single other known Egyptian tomb, it is floor to ceiling in glyphs. Amazing artwork that shows the depiction of
They're
their
close
lives.
by.
And
Are they gonna sideline
and
me?
the
Ah!
internal structure and layout. Like a lot of people that haven't been or are not familiar with the mapping.
Only
of
if
the
you
Great
find the
Pyramid,
hatch.
they would think that it's like a maze to like hide the pharaoh. It's going to be complicated.
Oh,
Now you just go
game
down, you
over.
go up, and you're in there. It's a straight shot. It's bizarre. But when you look at it from like a side angle of the map, it is absolutely. It's just confusing. It doesn't feel like a tomb at all. Right. That's and perhaps it could have been used as a tomb later on. But if I had my best guess is that it just simply was not designed with the purpose of a tomb. I really don't think so. I don't know that for a fact, and anyone that says otherwise, it's like nobody really knows, and that's kind of the fun part about this. But it's like that's just not my impression. And I went to Egypt with people that were very skeptical of the alternative theories. They're like, surely this was a tomb. And there was multiple people that said, I'm not so sure about that now. Like after walking through it, they're like, this is weird. So the mystery is real.
Did you ever go in the subterranean chamber?
Yes.
What was that like?
Really creepy. It's like 100 feet underground, and it's dark. Without light, it would be just cave black. You have to crawl through dirt through a tight little shaft just to get into it. And when you're in there, it's just quiet, and it's just the very chamber itself looks so eroded. It's weird. That was really fun to be in there.
Yeah, that was. I don't think I could do that. I'd be too claustrophobic. But like, that's just. If you're trying to explain that place being a pharaonic burial site or a tomb, how do you explain that
I can hear my
subterranean
dog
chamber
barking.
that it's like almost impossible?
Give me a sec while I go check it out.
for anyone to get down. And then you have that weird little shaft at the end of it on like the south side, I think, that goes nowhere.
Yeah. There's an empty.
There's a lot of
It
there's
looks
a lot
like
of
a
things like that.
hydraulic mechanistic machine. I don't know, man. It's mind blowing.
What is funny is how many people will try to deny any sort of mystery with it. When they just try to be like tomb and tomb alone.
Yeah.
That attitude.
Ropes and pulleys.
I mean, when even the Egyptologists can't agree on exactly how it was made, it's like when they can we not have a little bit of speculation and like, have a conversation? But instead they turn it into this fight. It has to be a battleground. That's really where I that really blew my mind sticking my nose in here. Like I watched some debunking videos and stuff, but I had no idea how attached to politics a lot of this was going to end up being. That part really hurts my head. It's like, come on, man, what in the actual fuck politically do the big rocks the ancient Egyptians have to do with today? Seriously, please enlighten me. I'm lost on that one.
Well, yeah, I want to get to that. But another thing I wanted to talk about was Jeffrey Drum, Land of Chem's theory on how those chemicals were also potentially used, and this is also one of my favorite theories, to explain like the scoop marks in the Serapeum boxes, right? Or even the scoop marks under that stone of the pregnant lady.
Yeah. Or like the Aswan quarry, with all those scoops with the obelisk.
Right. So maybe it was some sort of like, or even when you like when you see those giant saw blades that Ben shows pictures of, those giant saw, looks like a massive circular saw, cut this granite, right? Maybe they were using some sort of chemical slurry to soften that stone and cut through it, or like for in the Serapeum, if they cracked it or whatever, they could have used that to scoop it out. I think that makes a ton of sense.
I'm very open to stone softening, especially in Peru. Egypt, it's hard to say, but what I witnessed in Peru surprised me. Like everything, the stones look like they were marshmallowed together, and that's what the legends say there. They say that there was a certain, I've heard two different things. One, that there was a bird that would nest on cliffs that would use its saliva to like essentially melt or not melt, but like carve away the stone. It would like have an acidic property to it. Then I also have heard that it was actually a plant. But whatever it was, the legends going back in Peru say that there was something they used to soften the stone. And then when I was in Cusco, as well as in Sacsayhuaman in Cusco, when I put my hands between the stone that had essentially been moved through, time and earthquakes and whatever, it was as smooth gets. It was as if the stones had literally been pushed together and marshmallowed together. It wasn't. I was expecting to feel like a saw blade in there. No, it was totally smooth. And I'm like, and when you look at it, it bulges on the sides of it. Honestly,
so weird.
I'm very open-minded that those stones had been softened.
Yeah.
What confuses me in Egypt is that when I look at the 1,000-ton Ramesseum statue, I'm like, I'm not so sure that was involving stone softening. And I have seen other marks of evidence of stones that had been cut throughout Egypt with the granite. So I don't know what to think as far as like the geopolymer narrative goes.
Geopolymer is a little different, right? Geopolymer is like concrete.
Yeah, casting.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
right.
And that's like the new crave I'm seeing a lot of things of. But when Peru, I'm like, there's something there. Like that stuff is bizarre.
Even when I asked Ed Barnhart, I asked him, like, if you could take a time machine and go anywhere in history to see one thing, what would it be? He's like, I want to see how they fucking built those megalithic structures. He's like, I don't think the conventional explanation makes sense.
I love it. And it is bizarre, like with those polygonal stones found on 5 continents around the world. And some people say, well, that's just basic human ingenuity. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know about that. And there's stones there that so they're going to say that it was done with bronze chisels or stone hammers. And I'm like, when you look at the sophistication of these stones, how they're perfectly, flush with each other, I'm like, that was not done with a stone hammer. Not on that. Not on granite.
Well, they Garcilaso de la Vega, who was descended of an Inca noblewoman and a Spanish conquistador, is considered one of the best sources from those days, right? Best contemporary source from the post-colonial days of the Inca. And he talks about the legend of them moving one of the big rocks in Cusco and it falling off of a precipice and killing like 3,000 people. And it took like 40,000 or 30,000 people to move the stone. What he describes is basically unreal.
Yeah.
It's like when you read it, you're just like, okay, this didn't fucking happen.
Right. It was ultimately a failure, as he described it, right?
And he describes it as a failure, yes. Which is something that you find a lot. It's a very interesting little tidbit that you see in a lot of South American legends. Like there's one that's this the legend of Name Lap. It's not even that complicated. There's a short-lived in history, in the historical timeline, is a short-lived little culture called Name Lap. They had a temple, a couple of pyramids, and they had an idol. According to their legends, they showed up via boat with this idol. They were able to move the idol. They put it inside of a pyramid. Then one of their descendants of their king, after a few generations, wants to move the idol, but he's incapable of doing so. And there's more of the story, but that's my point there, is you see this kind of thing happen a lot in South America, where these little stories of, my ancestors moved this big-ass rock, and I try to do it and fail miserably. And it's catastrophically in the same case with Name Lab. It doesn't fall and kill 3,000 people. The king ends up screwing a demon, and it causes a flood that kills his people. Yeah, but anyway, same thing. It's catastrophic, but yeah, it's just interesting. You see these stories pop up a lot in South America, where it's like there seems to have been a tradition of the people before us could move bigger rocks than us now.
Which is wild, because like, if you go back to Egypt, the most impressive pyramids are the oldest ones, and they get shittier as time goes on. A lot of people aren't aware that there's approximately 118 pyramids in all of Egypt. The ones of Giza get all the attention, but there are hundreds that are they're like made of mud bricks. They get crappier as time goes on, and nowhere near the sophistication of the old dynasty.
What is that?
The old kingdom. Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
A crap box.
Yeah, well, it's the same thing in South America
That's
too.
Fifth Dynasty, yeah. Not much later at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of shitty pyramids in South America too. A lot of which are thought to have been like ancient land.
Son of a.
You know, like they were building pyramids for multiple reasons. Just have to be to communicate with the gods and sacrifice babies.
Yeah, like look at this. And the other one above, the Pyramid of Harara. Look at that.
That doesn't even look like a pyramid.
No, it's mud brick. When you look closer, it's a bunch of mud bricks.
Yeah, man.
Why do you think they won't look into that void in the pyramid?
Well, the number one explanation is they just don't want to damage the pyramid. And I appreciate that. However, they've already drilled the fuck out of it. They use tons of dynamite to blow their way
Oh, I
in
wonder if the
50 years
process are
ago.
still going on.
And like the reality is that they could do a small little diameter. They could drill it.
Just like they did with the Gate and Briggs
I
door,
haven't
right?
checked.
They drilled a little hole through that door to see what was behind it.
Right? And so it's like, the fact that it's been 7 years, it just, to me, if I was running the show out there, isn't that like a number one priority? It's like, oh, we've discovered a void.
Right.
Now let's go in and figure it out. And the fact that it's been 7 years since, really confused. There's no feasible.
Oh! Oh shit. There's a standoff on where Cesar Chavez turns into Sunset right now. Or are they? No, not a standoff. It kind of looks like it though, from my perspective. I think they've just arrested a bunch of people. Give me a sec. Pull it up here. This is AXN.
We're waiting for a crew of cops to come and give them. No, they're just gonna give tickets and let them go.
Oh, tickets and letting them go.
The crew that's gonna write them, they're holding one of these streets or whatever. So it's gonna take a while. They're just gonna give them tickets and they'll probably let everybody go. Yeah, but they give them
Real
like.
quick. Turn in my ears.
Yeah, they give them an order of evacuation, like the order to disperse. Like once they give that, they tell you like if you don't leave here, you don't leave in a certain direction, you got like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to they'll arrest you. You're subject to arrest, yeah.
Yeah, of course, it always devolves into this.
But right here, they have the perfect opportunity to trap everyone in there. No, we're good.
This is not exactly where Cesar Chavez turns into Sunset. This is Union Station, I think. Close to Union Station. Oh, that's nothing. Seems to be the only coverage for it. Oh, is this way? Is it coming that way? Ah! Get out of the way! Oh, you sabotaged me. Oh, she's not doing anything. What the hell? Why didn't she attack them? He, she, they, them. Yeah, why aren't they attacking these other guys? Oh shit, did I go the wrong way? I went the wrong way, didn't I?
Sir, is it possible to go on the other side or is it closed? Sounded like an accident. See if we can get this other angle.
Alright, since this killer is goofing around, I'm gonna go see if the hatch spawned in the basement, because that's what I put in.
What do you guys think? Should we go to the other crowd? At City Hall, there's still an active crowd of about 150. Like, I'm not gonna go over there. Just
Oh, basement, where is the basement?
I think the cops that are supposed to be sighting out all the people here, they're not. They're busy.
Basement. There it is.
This is probably gonna go for hours.
No hatch. What the hell? I guess it's just a probability. Oh, is that it right here? Nope. Ah. Okay. Well, now I gotta find the exit again. I'm gonna die.
I would just City Hall. Alright, so this is what's going on in the tunnel. Sorry it's so shaky, dude. We're far using Zoom. Crowd is still stuck in there.
Reveals the R of the
Trapped in from
basement
both
hooks.
sides.
Tremendously increases the chance. Oh, okay, yeah. It's all
As far as I know, it
probability.
doesn't look like
It's
they've
not
given any citations or
100%.
made any arrests or searched anybody. People are just trapped in there. And I think they're waiting for the crew that is actually in charge of giving the tickets. No citations. I think it's pretty calm. Every once in a while there'll be like one person or something that really acts up and they have to tackle him and shit. I think for the most part people, they don't want to get arrested.
What y'all boys doing? Get in line. You can't touch me. Y'all niggas wish y'all could touch me too. No illegal searches today. Be mad.
Yeah, go for it.
Hey, boy, hey,
I'm gonna gonna take off to the other crowd. There's a crowd at City Hall, right? At Temple?
LA Temple.
All right. I already been here for too long. I'm just gonna give them tickets, maybe. All right, man. See.
Take care, man. Be safe.
All right, we're gonna try to go to the crowd. There's an active crowd by City Hall. Like 150. We'll come back to this.
How far is that crowd down on Main Street?
This is gonna take forever. Last time, I'm telling you, during the George Floyd protest, they were arresting people in the valley, putting them on buses, and they were on there like 8 to 12 hours. I think I left one night. I went home. I went asleep, and I came back, and the dudes that had gotten arrested,
Look at
they were
this
barely getting off. You know, in daylight. They're like, "Man, we've been on that
quadruple
bus."
coverage. Give me a sec.
This is the last group of protesters that I'm aware of. They all got pushed into the tunnel and walked inside the tunnel.
Oh, they got trapped in. That's funny.
Dummies.
Ooh, driver crashes during street takeover after day
Hi everyone, and
without a
welcome to
Mexican.
KCAL News at 8. I'm Susie Suh.
And I'm Leslie Manning in for Juan Fernandez.
We begin with breaking news tonight.
Day
Let's
without
go to
immigrants.
KCAL's Jeff Lynn live
My
with
bad.
protesters in downtown LA. Jeff.
So guys, right now we are at the corner of Main and Temple where there is essentially a street takeover. You can see a number of young people at the intersection right here. The LAFD pulled up one of its fire engines just a few seconds ago and someone climbed onto that truck. We should tell you it has been a very dangerous situation at the corner of Main and Temple. The reason for that is because people have been gathering at this intersection. We did see one person on a motorcycle. That person popped a wheelie and hit one of the people out here in the face. That person popped back up soon after, so he seems to be okay. Nonetheless, very dangerous. Let's give you a look at why it is so dangerous. Take a look at this first piece of video. Minutes ago, we saw people in a Mustang convertible doing donuts with passengers sitting on the top of the back seat, not seat belted in any sort of way, moving very dangerously close to onlookers nearby as they were whipping around that intersection. You can see all of the burnouts leaving behind tire tracks. And then let's go ahead and go to this piece of video because before that, a group of protesters took over an intersection along Alameda Street at Cesar Chavez, where a driver performed a series of spinouts as the crowd cheered on. That group has since dispersed, and this came after police declared an unlawful assembly, which allows them to move in and arrest people. On the ground, we saw the LAPD taking over the streets section by section near the Hall of Justice and the federal courthouse. On Main Street, as well as Spring Street near Aliso, officers sealed off the on-ramp and the off-ramps to the 101 freeway to keep people from getting on the freeway. Back here live, take a look at this. If you can, come to our camera. You can see this guy in that Mustang doing burnouts as a Metro bus came by. You can see how close he is driving to all of these spectators right now. At one point, the LAPD was pushing people from block to block, moving them towards Alvera Street and Chinatown to get them to disperse. And at around 7:15 tonight, most of the crowd had gone near the freeway as we are looking at this very dangerous situation going on right now at the corner of Temple and Main. And you can see because of this, a number of people have scurried about, but this is just absolutely insane. And of course,
I ran right in him.
Right there. And And you can see the crowd is just reacting to what we are seeing, but you can just see just how dangerous all of this is. Now, the backstory on this is that since January the 20th, the president has acted on his campaign promise to increase deportation. Immigration was a major focal point of his campaign. As we look at all of these people out here, and you can just see all of these cameras and all of these people surrounding this guy after he basically crashed onto the curb of this car. Luckily, right now, we do not see anyone injured, but he is just completely surrounded. And then there is a person who just fell on the ground. Hopefully she is okay. You can just see how just dangerous it is. When people perform these stunts in front of all of these young people, they think it's cool, but certainly it is not cool when you see stuff like this happening. It is just absolutely asinine out here. Just to give you a sense of how heated all of this is, you know, the New York Times and Ipsos did a poll last month, and it found about 55% of Americans surveyed support the president's deportation plans. Having said that, a number of demonstrators that we talked to have very different feelings about those polls, and here's what they have to say about why they protested.
Not only is it me, I have a kid as well. And I wouldn't want my kid to be targeted and to be separated from me, even though he's a U.S. citizen. So that is a big thing because in my neighborhood, even in these streets, I am being targeted because of the way
I thought I could squeeze by.
because of the language that I speak. My parents are immigrants, you know, and I always grew up fearing that, you know, one day I was going to come home from school and they were just not going to be there anymore. And so I just feel like it's important, you know, to be out here.
It shows me that the majority of people understand what President Trump's plan is all about. We understand the difference between legal and illegal immigration, and we understand that his plan to start with felonious criminal aliens, that people who cause DUIs and accidents and do other crimes, they're the first to go.
And despite all of the dangerous behavior that we saw out here tonight, the LAPD says at this point, no one has been arrested. And for now, there are no claims of injuries. Reporting live in downtown Los Angeles, Jeremy Lynn, KCON News. We'll send it back to you.
Yeah, they issued a dispersal order about 15 minutes ago, and you can see they're starting to move in to disperse the crowd. Now, they were making an announcement up from the helicopters a short while ago. We could not make out what they were saying as you just saw someone threw something in the direction of the LAPD officers. But the police have been staging and getting ready to move in and are now doing so. But I got to tell you that a short while ago, if you had come out live to us, you would have actually seen people burning rubber at this intersection. And the crowd...
These are the stragglers?
No, everybody's on the
Oh, there's no more people at City Hall.
takeovers or anything. They're just walking around from sidewalk to sidewalk.
The mess was all earlier.
District Roger, is that going to be, what's the location where they're on the sidewalk primarily?
Yeah, they issued a dispersal order about 15 minutes ago, and you can see they're starting to move in to disperse the crowd. Now, they were making an announcement up from the helicopters a short while ago. We could not make out what they were saying as you just saw someone threw something in the direction of the LAPD officers. But the police have been staging and getting ready to move in and are now doing so. But I got to tell you that a short while ago, if you had come out live to us, you would have actually seen people burning rubber at this intersection. And the crowd has changed throughout the day. Earlier, there were lots of families here. There were people with children. We saw people also, elderly people with canes and so forth. And they've left, and the crowd is now much younger and also, as I mentioned, doing things like burning rubber in the intersection. And the LAPD is now moving in to clear them. And we're going to get behind the skirmish line. They're moving in multiple directions here, trying to keep the crowds from joining together and forming one large group. I'm walking now. We're actually at Aliso Street and Main, and the dispersal orders for this intersection as Arcadia and Spring and Arcadia and Main as well. And I'm seeing fireworks being thrown over here in the direction of the police. And
whoa.
I seem to have lost. There's Frank. We're going to walk across the street. they're saying to leave. As you can hear, they're telling people to leave the area. Police, most people seem to be complying and are moving. They've stopped traffic there as well. So we're going to walk across the street because that's where we're seeing items being thrown off a shop.
Obviously, we're having some technical challenges with Christy's mic as she gets farther away from her photographer. Hopefully, the two of them can get a little closer together, and then we might resolve some of those mic issues.
That we heard people burning rubber, and if we pan over there, you can see that Dodge Charger's doing that right now. You see some of the smoke that is left behind from those tires. Police, and you probably hear that another item being thrown. That was a water bottle. So what they're doing here, as you can see, they've deployed one flank here and another flank here, and they will often do this during protests when they want to disperse them. They try to keep the crowd away from each other, from forming one large crowd. So they're dividing them and forcing them in different directions. And that appears to be the strategy here right now.
Christy, do we know of any arrests so far?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Do we know of any arrests so far?
So far, we've not seen anyone being arrested. They just appear to be dispersing the crowd, but I've not gotten an update from the LAPD, so I cannot tell you that with any certainty. I have personally, though, not witnessed any arrests.
And Christy, we saw over the weekend that they took over the freeways at some point. It seems like there's a strong effort to keep people off the freeways tonight.
There definitely is. The LAPD was blocking the entrance to the 101 here at Aliso and Main, and also we saw the CHP. In fact, if we pan down that way, actually it's blocked, so you will not be able to make it out. But the CHP has blocked some of the off-ramps from the 101 freeway here as well in an attempt to keep people from going onto the freeway. But I gotta tell you, we've been here all day long, and as I said, the crowd was very different earlier. There's lots of families, and they didn't show any real interest, as far as I could tell, in taking the freeway. Right now, though, it's a much younger crowd. As we're hearing, you can probably hear it there in the distance, people being kind of rowdy with, again, burning rubber and so forth, and throwing items at the police as they're trying to clear them out. So we really saw a shift also in the energy here and who was here.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday it started about noontime, I'm going to estimate, and then it lasted until late last night. Yes, the 101 was taken over for some time yesterday. And of course, that was the same day as the Grammys. You see the bottle there, looks like a beer bottle.
And as we know, when they declare an unlawful assembly, that means that right now, all of the protests, oh, there's a skirmish. All the protesters are technically in violation of the law right now. So that gives the LAPD the right to start making arrests if these people don't leave in a reasonable amount of time.
However, I could not hear the dispersal order, Alex.
Okay.
It was made over the helicopter, but I could not hear it. And so I don't know how many people here have heard it.
Yeah, oftentimes they'll do that over loudspeakers and say it repeatedly to try to give people time. We're also looking at the Mexico flag. Christy, I'm curious, what is the ratio we see of Mexican flags compared to maybe American flags out there?
Oh my God. Oh, it's Fox 11, that's why.
Okay.
It's a dumbass question, wasn't worth it.
I mean, there's a lot of El Salvadorian flags as well. Mexican flags we've seen. I haven't seen any American flags. That's
Yeah.
why I'm not sure if you have, Alex,
Well.
in all the coverage.
American flags,
Yeah.
I've seen.
That is by Rumsan. Shit, I need to go save my teammates.
So in terms of what we're looking at now, again, that the dispersal order has been made. So it's a question now of trying to get these protesters out of the area. And hopefully all this can happen in a peaceful way. What's the main message, Christy, that you're hearing from a lot of the protesters today that you're talking to?
What I'm hearing is said a lot of people here are saying that immigrants built this country and should be respected. And we've also talked to multiple people who tell us they are American citizens themselves, but they're here for family members who are documented, and they want to speak and draw attention to their plight as well. They tell us many are now at home afraid to leave their home. And there were lots of people here today, too. There was a man who came. He was actually walking with a cane, and he brought his family who was visiting from Dallas. They all came down with they brought their American passports and their American birth certificates, but they said that they wanted to be here. And you can see police. No. Telling people to leave. Some of them are standing there where they are not moving. Some of them have their cell phones out. Appear to be either recording, some cases live streaming this.
And this isn't just limited to the city of Los Angeles. We saw the crowd earlier in in Orange County and Santa Ana. It's officially a day without migrants. That's what they're calling this day. This unlawful assembly declared just a few minutes ago. So far, no word of any arrest, but that could soon change because, to Alex's point, now that they have officially declared it an unlawful assembly, given them enough time, them being the protesters, to take note of that, then they are in violation of the law if they do not disperse.
And we know that there is a
message. I can read you some of the signs if you like. I mean, there's a woman there standing there. She says that her parents work harder than our president. There's others that say that I don't believe in borders. Others signs that we're seeing are just.
This reporter kind of sucks.
There's one that is an anti-fascism sign. Another one that says, "We stand together, we speak for those who can't." Those are the types of signs we're seeing. We just heard maybe a firecracker go off. Actually, no, it was a foam baton. So apparently the LAPD is now deploying those foam batons. So essentially, instead of rubber bullets, they now use, it's like a foam projectile that they will shoot into the crowd, and it leaves behind a canister. And what I've seen in the past at other protests is that sometimes they will pick up the canister and throw it back at police. But that indicates that was just fired, and I think that's what we heard.
So as we know, as you're watching this, there is a constitutional right to protest in this country. You're allowed to have your say, but there are limits on that.
Oh, fuck. Oh my god, I thought I was a goner.
Especially in downtown Los Angeles, will get permits. They will work with the LAPD on a process sometimes of shutting down streets to allow people to have their right and have their say. Okay, things are getting escalating here, but then it sometimes get to a point where the LAPD feels like it is now endangering public safety. You do not have a constitutional right to shut down a street. You do not have a constitutional right to get into a freeway. You do not have a constitutional right to step in front of somebody's car. Police have an opportunity or an ability under the law to step in and try to enact order, which seems to be what's happening here right now. And we're seeing the after effects of that as well. As we know, this issue of immigration is something that's very personal for so many people in Southern California. Most Americans do like the concept of borders based off of polling, but the topic of birthright citizenship, which is something that the Trump administration is trying to end, which has been guaranteed in the Constitution for generations, basically means if you are born here, even if your parents are undocumented, you are an American citizen. And so what we're seeing a lot of today, according to Christie's reporting, is kids who are American citizens, but their parents may not be. That is something the Trump administration is actively trying to stop. They have an executive order on that.
Oh, thanks for bringing him over here.
The United States Supreme Court. And that is one of the many things that people are fired up about.
Wow. Good
as
job.
we look on the streets of downtown Los Angeles. And Christy, it seems like they're pushing everybody back. As we look at some of the reporters and photographers, I think, from the LA Times that are there, Christy may have just said hello to. It seems like They're moving people back. Not sure if Christy can hear us.
You can hear the LAPD officer saying we need more room back up, and yes, they are pushing people away. And on social media, on X, LAPD Central Division put out a statement saying that the incident commander for the demonstration at Aliso Arcadia on Los Angeles Street has issued a dispersal order right there at that location. All those who remain may be subject to arrest. Route of travel is northbound Los Angeles to Cesar Chavez. So it does look like they are making progress to push the crowd back. As to where they will all disperse to, we'll see. But now LAPD officers making a... And Christy, I think it's important as we're looking at the LAPD officers, batons in hand, to point out the crowd right now is a much younger crowd. And earlier you said it was more family-oriented because you've been out there all day. And again, to reiterate, their message is to, noting that LA is a sanctuary city, their message is to the Trump administration.
I'm really sorry, Marla. I could not hear what you asked. Right now, there are some protesters that are asking police why they've issued a dispersal order. Some also blaming police for starting all of this, saying that they were demonstrating peacefully. And that certainly was true for some of the protesters here. Many of them were peaceful. But as we've seen, there have been some who have been throwing items and so forth. So different people came to this protest, and some of them did want to peacefully protest, and there were others who apparently, at least in the last half hour or so, have wanted to engage police. And they're still playing music.
And now as we hit nighttime, you see that LAPD helicopter overhead shining its light on this, keeping a track of it from the air, and we see the officers standing by on the ground.
And it seems like, well, not seems like it, they have split up in two. So now we have the skirmish line here. This is where those ultimately playing music and being more jovial have gathered up ahead. It was the more rowdy protesters, if you will, and those folks have been pushed back by LAPD.
And welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. I'm Andrew Kraft. We want to get into more of these.
So there's a male down in the tunnel.
Hey, detectives that are assigned to the tunnel, we got a guy with a gun here. Can you make your way up to the skirmish line? Detectives assigned to the tunnel.
You said a guy with a gun?
They're assigned to the tunnel. We got a guy with a gun here. Can you make your way up to the skirmish line? Detectives assigned to the tunnel.
Yeah, they said they got a guy with a gun in there. Wow. west side of the tunnel, there's a guy with a gun.
Can you bring the detective to point? We're going to get put somebody in the van. We have a suspect that has a pistol.
Andando un guardia.
There was a radio call of man down. He had you calling his response. Will call back and advise where they're staging. My 30 Roger, they're going to have to do no more of either side of the stage.
I haven't seen him today. He lives in Scott, right? Who? Oh, yeah. That's not him? Did you hear it? They said they found a guy with a gun on the other side. On the west side. I heard that earlier that there was some dude waving a flag that they said had a gun. They're going to be taken into custody on the Alameda. Well, we got this guy down here in the tunnel. What happened to that guy? He just passed out?
Empty notified to stage on the east side of the tunnel. Also, CP handling this incident.
We're not too sure, guys. We'll see what happens right now. Los tienen en la carril, los tienen bloqueados. Aquí. Ya están en el medio, ahí en la pared. Where'd you guys end up parking? Right outside.
Oh.
Fire department's gonna come treat this person here that's down in the tunnel.
Ah, shit.
Did you see that guy that's down right there? Did you see the guy that's down right there? Right there on the ground, look. Passed out. Fire department's coming. Right there. We're on the curb. There's a dude, there's a girl next to him. I don't know what happened. If he's part of it, if he was a homeless dude that got caught in here or something, I don't know.
You just saw him right now when you walked over here?
I seen him, yeah, when I came down here. No, I seen him from up there.
That's the guy that was at the LA Dodger celebration with the Pikachu thing.
I don't remember.
We haven't seen you since the fire.
Yeah? Have you been out?
We've just been seeing your stream.
I've been out this weekend. It's been kind of slow. It's been slow.
How are we gonna get there?
Ah,
They're gonna bring a chair.
missed. He missed.
He was asking like the fire department came to treat that guy. I don't know what's wrong with him. Someone said he got hit with the bullet. Someone said he got hit with a rubber bullet, but I doubt it.
Nah,
They would have arrested him. They would have arrested him. There you go.
next time I'm gonna put my Halloween costume and blend in.
Good. I'm gonna miss him. Uh-oh. They're getting me by surprise. Uh-oh. Close by. Oh.
You guys do me a favor and hit the like button if you can.
Oh, snaps. 2 men down.
Just got my lens back.
Are they together?
You broke it or what?
I think they're right next to each other.
Yeah, like it was damaged. It had mold in the lens on the bottom, and they put a brand new lens on the top and they cleaned it.
Warranty? You gotta pay.
Warranty.
Yeah, they're right there. They want me to using them as bait. Where's the one I was just at? It's over there. Or not? Oh shit. Oh, it was that one. There they go. There they go. Oh shit. Ah! Oh my god. Bruh. Oh, that sucks.
I have an ambulance from the other side too. We got ambulances on both sides.
Is that a teammate or the killer? Ah, teammate. Cool. Oh shit. Okay, cool. They got it. Ah, they got it. They got. Both of them. Shit. Ah! Son of a bitch. Game over. We're all down. They're crawling here. That's funny. speaking English right now. You tell him.